Yeah.
Quorum.
Right, welcome to the November Conservation Commission meeting. I think sign in
Here's Kristen.
and.
Oh, cool.
Voice Channelist. Okay. All right, so we're ready for rock and roll here. First item on the agenda is the roll call. We'll start.
Tom Olson, member.
Giselle Malloy, member.
Larry Dunn, chair,
Ray Rafferty, vice chair.
Michelle Fitzpatrick, secretary.
and. Got to bring up,
Here she comes.
where'd she go?
Sure, here. Just has no video on.
Well, that's okay. Are you out there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Now we
Okay,
can.
now we can, all right. That's,
Okay, hi.
Add your name to the roll call.
Oh, hi, Kristen Distante, member.
There you go.
Okay, we are almost all here. Anne is not attending. Second item on the agenda is, well, we have 2 minutes of meeting. One from September 16th and then the which is the joint tri-commission meeting. And the other one is what we renamed the special meeting, which was October 6th.
I move we accept both sets of minutes as written. I'll second.
Any comments?
I have a question.
Okay.
On the special joint meeting, obviously I wasn't there, but on the, it's a minor thing, but on the adjournment vote, they have two of the three, they don't have the third commission voting but they had people there.
Each one has its own minutes.
I know, but you've got Sue Sutherland and you on our minutes.
Oh, but she shouldn't be in our minutes.
I mean, it looks like it's got the whole meeting on our, anyway.
I think Sue just dismissed all of them. I think that's how it actually worked. And normally it's everyone opens it up. I think it was just done a little bit differently last time.
Oh, yeah, Sue just
Yeah.
just said it during the meeting, it's P and Z and
Yep.
it's done with it.
Yep.
So that,
Okay, I was just curious since I wasn't there to see it.
Yep.
No big deal.
I thought
Okay.
it was a little strange. I thought each one of us was going to.
Yeah, anyway, all right.
But, okay, all right, so without objection, both minutes are approved.
Yep.
Next, public communications. In your package is a correspondence from. We found it.
Letitia Pia on page 13.
There we go. Which was an item we talked about. I think you've all read that.
Before you go on, I don't know, is this what the people, but this was to be recorded?
It switches back and forth.
No, it should have
I can fix it.
the view of the audience.
Yeah,
It should switch back and forth. I don't know why it's not.
I just, in case there's people actually trying to watch it with all this blank screen. Okay,
Okay,
sorry.
well, there's actually no one else out there, right?
Yeah, some people might watch the recording.
Okay, okay, so that was in response to, and we'll get to it later about the Pleasant Valley School property status, and basically was in support of our position for having 4 acres rather than unknown in it, and I know we'll hear later that it's in progress.
Yep, that's basically what I have. Yeah.
I can be staff. I got this. The other one, which I don't think made it in here.
It didn't. You sent it. It was after it already went out.
Did get a communication from GSA, which was a kind of a general plea, I was copied on it as well as some of you probably will, to vote no on the athletic field because
Was
of
that,
the-
excuse me, oh, can I raise my hand? Sorry. I don't know if you can hear me or see me or anything. Sorry.
We can hear you. Yep.
Okay, it's GCA, I think, not GSA.
Did I, oh, I'm sorry. I had that stuck in my mind because of my federal contracts I had with GSA. You are correct. Yes, it's Groton Conservation.
Even though we all kind of knew who you were talking about,
Right.
but that's.
Yeah, I say it all the time. Somehow it's-
There are.
For the record, Put
Yeah.
it for the record.
No, I agree.
Can you
want-
guys see me? Is my camera on? I'm sorry.
No.
No, your camera's not
Okay.
on.
Hear
I
your
can't
voice.
figure out how to turn it on, so I apologize. I'm spying on you, but I just need to know where I stand. Thanks. Sorry for
Okay.
interrupting.
All right, so if you either raise your hand, which is a graphic, or just say something, so in case we miss your hand being raised. So the Groton Conservation Association did send a letter out on the athletic field. We've had discussions on this last year.
I think it was last year.
Yeah, where we did come out in support of a natural field rather than a
Artificial turf.
artificial. And the proposal is for an artificial field, so. That's more of information, and you guys will vote tomorrow as you see fit.
I do have a copy if anyone wants to look at it. I can pass it around. If you haven't seen it.
I think I saw this.
All right, next item on the agenda is the report of chair. So let's see, I attended the October 9th housing presentation. I attended the GOSA annual meeting. They did show I kind of labeled it a production level film on the contributions of GOSA, but it really was I thought I was expecting I was expecting less, but I was pleasantly surprised that they actually did a nice job. And probably is something that the staff might look at as something to go on a Greater Groton or something like that, because it's actually, that is well done. I think it's coming out of,
It's not posted
it's
yet.
not
so
posted yet, but I'm saying it's coming out of production probably this month.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but it's in 4 segments, and they talk about different pieces of it. But it was pretty well done. I recommend that it be viewed. If there, and that's it. And that's it for me. Now we'll start this end. Oh no, wait a minute. We'll start off with
Kristen, you get a caller.
the
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I think I just did some planting events with the town. I think Tom attended one with me, and it was we planted trees around the neighborhood behind Peconic Park, and
yeah.
we
That- you-
planted what?
Are you talking about the tree planting that was done at Sutton Park?
Yes.
okay, not Pequannock.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it's called something. It's kind of behind that neighborhood. And then we also did replanted the pollinator garden at the library, which we're going to expand. I pulled up plants out of my garden at home, and supposedly someone's going to prepare that. They want to expand the rain garden, and rather than buy new plants, I'm going to transplant my plants. But I'm kind of waiting for that to happen. But I don't think GCA. I think GCA did meet since we all last saw each other. So, expressing a lot of their concerns about the turf. That's a very big concern for them. That's about it.
Thank you.
What I've done, I'll report in the agenda.
Okay.
I also attended the October 9th housing presentation. And pass it on.
I attended the CT Advocates for Trees Committee via online on October 7th. I can talk a little bit more about that in my tree advisory section. I got a hold of Jeff Church. We both agreed December would probably be best. We can go a little bit more into that as well. And then I did attend on October 11th a volunteer with the Nature Conservancy and City of Groton to plant trees. That was it was for my first time ever planting big trees. It was a very what is it? Like
Aerobic, what?
aerobic. Yeah, there we go. It was hard, but it was fun and a good experience.
That was at the Five Corners.
Yep.
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 That's it. I attended the ECCD pollinator planting at the Groton Library, as well as the ECCD planting and polling at the City Municipal Building on the 28th. I then attended the ECCD Watershed Workshop on the 30th. There was not a lot of I think they were expecting, a lot of people there. They had massive amounts of 2 big pizzas and cases of stuff, and there were 6 of us. So not a big turnout. I'm all signed up for the Kakiwik for the 15th. And then I also attended the housing and I also went to the Parks and Rec Luminaria on the at the COP property back on the middle of October. And then I also worked on projects for Larry that we're going to talk later. That's all I've got.
That plus tree day, it's gonna be a lot of tree stuff tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's see, for the commission, old business. I wasn't sure where to put some of this stuff, but one of the items was I did have a discussion with John Reiner about recommendations on town properties or other properties that we had interest in acquiring. Now, there's a section in the POCD, pardon me for using that term, about suggesting, properties. John cautioned us about providing such because they're in the process of negotiating for a variety of things. He also asked if we could drop section or appendix F in our existing plan, which does list a number of properties. His view was, I can figure out what properties you guys meant. So that it wasn't a big secret. So I guess there's 2 questions here. One is, do you support not providing public recommendations on target properties or acquisition properties for the town?
I had mixed feelings about it having it in there in the first place, just because you don't know what having it public is going to affect things that are going on. So
Yep.
I think it's better to keep it outside the public discussion.
Comments?
Well, the problem I have is that the state statute that outlines what's supposed to be in a POCD, it's one of the recommendations that you have it if you're going to be doing things. And I think this is one of the areas that we have not had good discussions with the Planning and Zoning Commission as they've been recalculated now since the last POCD. And so I'm getting the impression right now that with the direction that they're giving the contractor is that and what you're hearing from Mr. Reinert is to gloss that over. We're not going to be looking at that as a separate area like it was, because all we did in the plan of conservation and open space conservation plan was to basically replicate what was in the POCD, which had a list of like 13 different properties that were recommended and that were part of the POCD. So I don't know, Bray, if you were there when that was done, I don't know. And I know that it's been required it was been a standard item in the past. I know that the POCD had a lot of other areas that it kind of torque people off. Like it made a recommendation at Crosswinds, my street,
Right,
to
yeah.
go to blast through
Sorry.
over to Fishtown Road, which made
It's like why?
why and where some of the stuff comes from, and that's a take type of thing that you need to be taking a look at is what planning and zoning is supposed to be doing. If you take a look at this from my viewpoint, is taking a look at the statutes, is setting up the zoning areas to as far as on what they would be doing, and so that I would be, I'd be very sympathetic to taking a look at how do we want to go take a look at PA 490 property that has been been in categories that for greater than 10 years, is that could be open for reclassification is like a third category of conservation land, okay? Such that we have currently, under the current zoning that was put in when they combined everything, you got the GC for GA, I think.
GR.
GR, right, recreation, and then, and maybe that we need to have a third category of like GP or something like that, where if after 10 years, this person is now getting a tax benefit from us, but they don't have to repay it back. There's no penalty for them at that point. And so in my viewpoint, what we could be making the argument that says, hey, you've gotten this good deal without anything, and now I'm going to take, if I feel like that your intention is to keep it that way, I should rezone it to some type of conservation area, okay? And then if you really want to sell it and put it back into whatever, then you're going to have to go through a process, and we'll discuss it at that time. But we'll take it off the books and leave it at PA 490 if it's been that way for a long time. Put it into a special code that doesn't hurt you, but that we recognizes that this land is being, the intention of the current landowner is to put it that way, to get it off so it doesn't look from an economic development perspective, oh, I've got all this not all this open, residential zoning or commercial zoning, whatever, that's really PA 490 coverage, and it's been greater than 10 years. And so let's take it off it and reflect it in on the zoning map that way. If they were to do that from the Planning and Zoning Commission, says that's really my future. That's really the area that I would be, it would be equivocate to what our list is. It was in the last area. It's a big picture comment there, but that's how I would come back to Mr. Reiner and to the Planning and Zoning Commission, because we've addressed this issue before as far as what do we want to do with PA 490s and how do we want to classify it.
But Tom, what does that have to do with having it public or not, though?
Well, no, now I would be, there would not be a list. The list would be this category of PA 490 items that have been reclassified from the, because they've been in the program for greater than 10 years, there's no penalty. They're getting a tax break from the town, so the town should get something get back from them, okay? And that would be, I'm going to put this into a special conservation zoning district, okay, that would be added as part of the, that would be reflected.
Well, I mean, this takes a little more investigation, I think, because, I mean, I'd be saying if we don't get any benefit from a tax rebate, then why should they get a tax rebate? I mean, that'd be my.
Well, they don't get a rebate. It's just it's assessment at a lower level.
Assessments are lower, and the only benefit was if they did sell it, they'd have to pay some of that back.
Right.
After 10 years, they don't have to. Therefore, there's no benefit to the town.
Well, and that's why the town should be capturing a little bit of that. But that's what I'm saying is that for this, I'm giving you this reduced amount, okay? So I want to be able to qualify that and put it into a special zoning area.
What if we just re-sign them up for start the 10-year clock again?
I don't think that's the way. You can't change what's in the state law. Okay, the state law is very specific in how it's set up. But I think this is an area that we should be advocating with. As if you don't want to have a list to match up with, this is the areas we want to look at. How about doing this?
Well, I think the reason for not doing the list is that it basically discloses property that potentially would go into open space. And if you have it directly identified, and then it would be. We had
this discussion when we created the conservation plan. We agreed as a group, we didn't want to put targeted properties in there. What Tom's saying is, it was already there in the PLCD. So we listed it out of that and just put it in our stuff because it was already public information. So we were I guess
We're consistent with the current POCD.
but we're in alignment philosophically with the request from John.
Yeah.
So I don't have I personally don't have a problem moving it from place F because the POCD is gonna get replaced. Although it's always there, and I'm saying, well, our old plan is always there too, so
And really, a lot of what the state guidance is on there is not identifying exact parcels. It's identifying like
Type.
greenway connections, stuff that like that are.
And I'm not
bigger
arguing that, that's
picture.
what, and I think that, but one of the ways we could be doing that, to working towards that goal, is be taking a look at this PA 490
I
property.
agree.
I think that's more on the state level. I don't think we're gonna, I mean, you
Say,
Yeah.
maintain the rules, everything, there's no change to the PA 490. I'm saying with our planning and zoning commission, recognizing that PA 490 and putting it after it's been in the program for greater than the 10-year parcel, where they, during that time, that's where you need to have the current zoning for whether it's RA 40 or R whatever, okay, R40 or whatever. But after that 10 years, now the town should be able to say, wait, you're putting this into conservation. We recognize it. We appreciate that level of conservation that you're doing. And we're going to recognize that by making it another GP whatever area, a zoning on it.
I think the challenge is going to be pushback is like, I get it. I get exactly what you're saying. I think the pushback is that it's private property and they could sell it at any point. Yes, they've had a benefit for 10 years, but now you're penalizing them to say that
I'm not penalizing anything.
if it does go into, if all of a sudden you say, well, now we put it in GP, and if you want to switch out of that, you're going to have to go through all these hoops. You said that, right?
Yeah.
So like that's kind of a,
But that's to be expected because you've been getting a tax break for so long.
for 10 years, it has been protected.
Well,
So
that's where
you know.
you can argue,
Yep.
I'm just giving you the idea here. Well, if you want to make it 20 years or something, but we should be taking a look at that. If they've gotten a benefit, we should be able to continue to capture something here.
And if they could sell it to develop after 10 years, it wasn't really protected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like
There's
again,
just
you're
nothing
going
land.
you're going at the state level for this,
Yes.
like that's the hard thing. That's
not protected.
Yeah.
Saying.
Yep.
There should be a little, not pain.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I think that the saying the hoops or the pain piece is a little, because it's hard. We don't know situations for everything. There may be a good reason why they need to sell it or whatever. Portion of
It advertises to the developers coming in, taking a look at what the zoning map is. It takes that kind of off the map a little bit, and the town is we need to recognize that these people are getting a tax break
So
by these lower assessments.
So would it be, what about approaching them for an easement? Because then you have something on there. They're getting something
We took
on.
a whack at that a few months back.
Mhm.
About which ones we thought should be, shouldn't be. We kind of backed off.
No, I know that, but I'm trying to, I'm
No, I'm just
just
saying-
devil's advocate. I'm playing
Yeah.
both sides here of
Right.
how it's going to be seen. If someone,
I'm just saying, you brought the topic up here, and I think this is how I would respond to it when you ask my opinion on it.
Well,
Bray's got a
what
hand
if,
up.
we had the discussion, what if we take the concept back to staff, because he is our representative, to say, is there the consideration of our input, or do we have to do a formal letter of request?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, to staff or in general?
Well, this is specifically because John is responsible as the lead guy
Yep.
with P and Z. I'm just saying, and you're our representative, John. Right, John did that.
Right, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. So is that sufficient, or do I need to?
Do you want me to write something up?
It can't hurt. I
Yeah, I was
think,
gonna
I
say,
think you
yeah.
need to like, I think it
Yeah,
would be
articulate.
more, yeah, I agree. I think it'd be more effective to have a really articulated statement about
Yeah.
what you're trying to do, to argue it. I can articulate that, but I'm sure then I'll get
think-
questions
yeah.
back and they're like,
Yeah.
all right, I'll just call Larry. You know what I mean? So it might be
Yeah.
better if you had actually a statement position, however you think this would play out,
Mhm.
and then I can give that to them and we can.
So you volunteer, well, first of
Yeah,
all.
Well, actually, Bray, you had.
Ray had to raise his hand.
And two comments. One is that in prior POCDs, there was a running list that the Conservation Commission made of, let's say, 10 or 12 properties that we were hoping as possible acquisition for protection as open space. This was a list that was discussed with the different land trusts in the town. We talked with them and we sort of held it as our own. So people said, going forward, you're interested in acquiring open space. Do you have any particular areas? So this was a sort of a running list that was out there as a starting point. Over time, in the Conservation Commission, as well as like land trusts, looking at preservation of open space, how can we do it? What are sort of some of the tools? The 490 is one of those tools that's out there. So it encourages, if people own enough property to fall into 490, which is 25 acres or more, that you could get some sort of a tax abatement. It's got a 10-year penalty. Pretty much the first 2 or 3 years, it stings a little bit. After 3 years, there's no sting. It's a very little amount. So it's not much of a penalty, but it's a way of encouraging people to think about on the conservation that you've got this you've got a large piece of property. Do you want to maintain it as a forest? Or do you want the ability to maintain it as a farm? So you've got some of these options and you're getting something back, and that is a reduction in your taxes, a different assessment level. I don't know of all the 490 that's in the town, that's, let's say, we'll use the 10-year period that Thomas mentioned, holding it longer than 10 years. I have no idea what that amount of money, let's say, is that the town is not acquiring because it's in 490. And the one problem with 490 is that, from my perspective, is it's wonderful it's in there, but you don't want to necessarily rock the boat too hard, because then the people might feel, okay, I'll just put it on the market. You know, it's not protected anymore. And depending upon the wave that goes through the community, there are times when there's a very heavy look at all property, and if somebody takes it off 490, you know, immediately there are probably people knocking on the door, it's going to be developed. On the other side of 490 is there was a one other set aside that was a much longer period of time. I'd forgotten the name.
There's a 10 mil program, which has been disbanded.
Right, disbanded.
It's been disbanded.
And there was one property in, that was donated to Avalonia that was in that.
Well, GOSA's most recent acquisition at the Center Groton
Was in
Preserve
that, and-
was also in 10 mil.
And when the person had held it, I don't know,
50 years.
something like that, he actually came to that period of time, but just to hand it over to the Avalonia, it lots of hurdles to jump through. And they thought, okay, once we got to that 50-year period of time, we should be able to move out of the program without any penalty or doing a lot of paperwork, but that wasn't the case. At this
I
point.
think what's happened right now, looking at the, I was heavily involved in the GOSA, for full disclosure here, and their acquisition on the Center Groton Preserve, which I think there's only one other property still in the 10 mil program right now. So everything else is, we're dealing with a one-off at this point.
Right.
So it's kind of a mute.
So I get
And GOSA didn't have any issues.
So-
Because it reverted after the 50-year period. If they didn't re-up in the 10 mil program, it automatically deflected to the PA 490 program, and that's what happened with the GOSA property. So it was in 10 mil and then just recently it moved into there, and
Right.
that it was no issue.
So I guess the question is, do you want to penalize the people from putting it in 490 and protecting it and getting a little something back for doing it. Because it doesn't allow us to have, let's say, an easement. That's a whole different step.
Yeah, and and maybe there's ways of having an overlay area or something like that. There's another alternative here. This is things that could be looked at.
Right,
Well, I kind of read what you're saying is don't rock the boat.
right.
Okay, so we got don't rock the boat. We got a proposal from Tom.
Right.
This is something that, that we would need to make a motion and
Right.
take a vote on.
I think this is a bigger issue, and I think we should be looking at ways of making the 490 more permanently protected.
Mhm.
And what the options are, and I don't think we should even try to resolve it right now.
Mhm.
But I think that that's something that, there might be other things besides your suggestion, like there might be things that we haven't thought of yet. And I think it's worth going, because we talked about this kind of stuff in the past, but I think we need to go back and revisit the whole, using, like, having 490 be more protected.
Okay, so we gotta defer, we don't rock the boat,
Defer.
we gotta defer.
Mhm.
Kristen,
Yeah, go ahead, Kristen.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, no, I think it's an excellent idea, because what would stop a forward-thinking developer from just buying up a bunch of amazing property and sitting on it and paying no tax for 10 years and then developing it, So I like the idea of trying to make it more conservation friendly in the long run in exchange for that tax break. So we can defer it, yes.
I think I've heard a majority saying, good topic, let's defer a letter to the town staff for the.
I'll still draft it up, so.
Oh, yeah, because it'll be
Yeah.
just a point of our discussion.
Yeah, I think that's what I was gonna say. I think what makes the most sense is let Tom draft something up. You bring it back for next month or January, or how, I know we have a lot in December too, to discuss it again and to talk about it further and to kind of strategize about next steps and how this will work. That's my suggestion.
Okay, so, yeah, so the consensus is what I heard is defer, good topic to have, different than what we had in the past, which was, did we want to go after a specific
List,
property
right.
or easement? This one is, how do we continue to keep people in the 490 program really, rather than,
Right, I'm looking
Some
at this
barrier
from the aspect of that. I agree that having a specific targeted list is probably not applicable in today's environment. I think that list actually generated from back in the 1980s when we were going out and running a referendum. What are you going to buy with this $13 million or $8 million, whatever the number was at the time? And so, and this is the legacy from that. And I think now that we're at the 30% thing, I
Right.
think we have to have a different mindset as far as on what we want. We'll take opportunities when they come, and I think that's what I'd like to target those 490s as the prime things. And that's all I'm trying to focus
Well,
on.
I think one of the next steps is doing connections. So we've got a lot of open space, larger
Yeah.
properties,
Go back to
patchwork,
that
and
we had
and
talked
then
about
we
before, yep.
go back to,
still on the maps?
Kind of, yeah, we need to circle around, now that we've had time to do a bunch of stuff, circle around back
Okay.
to that plan.
We will hold for tentatively target the January meeting, because I
Yeah.
think we've got stuff being lined up for
Okay.
December. I can't remember what the
Yep.
month was, for December as well.
Mhm.
And as a gesture of good faith, I will go forward and remove the appendix F as no harm, no foul on that one. So I will take care of that.
Got it.
All right. Boy, this is gonna get set up for our next discussions, which is, well, it's actually a follow-on, which is, given our shift from acquisition priority to a stewardship priority, which is what we stated back in January, is a buildup of funds in the acquisition fund bucket. So the thought was, I guess this is I kick this off and then Tom. So there's actually two recommendations. Well, I guess there's three. Do nothing, do nothing, status quo. Change the policy or drop the policy and move to an ordinance. So to facilitate that discussion, we probably ought to go through this as a sequence. I did put out a presentation on the agenda, which. My Zoom thingies.
You're pulling up page 18.
Just gonna display it. I got these little tiny, there it is. Let me share.
Kristen's got her hand up unless that's just from
Yeah,
before.
I think that's from before.
Oh. Thanks, Kristen.
Okay, let me get the. Make that presentation mode. Geez, I haven't done this in a while, man.
You're doing great, Larry.
Yeah. Slide sorter.
2 over.
Yep.
Right there.
Go right there.
Come on, there we go. Continue to share.
There you go.
Okay, so I kind of thought about this and said, well, let's kind of parse this and go down through a decision tree. So for the first question I said is, given what I said before, we're pushing what, 200 grand now? That's there, and if you look at history, there's been a couple of runs at that. First of all, we asked, can we use it? We said no. It was told us no, because the policy was there.
Right.
The second thing is Parks and Recs did a run at the money to do something in a parking lot or something, and we objected. That says that's not what the fund is for. But that was over a year ago. And so now the thing is, how do we make an effective use of that fund? Given the fact, and I guess I'll get my point out there, given the fact that if there is an acquisition of property, it's gonna be a hell of a lot more than 200 grand.
Mhm.
One, and it's gonna have to be a bond issue or a voting issue anyway,
Unless it's a grant.
unless it's, yes,
Yep.
unless somebody gives it to us. And therefore, the money could only be used for evaluation or survey, something like that. So my thought was, we have no authority, we have no budget, we have, other than recommendations. And what we'd like to do is get a little bit of support for open space on the stewardship side. And change the definition, the policy, the town of Groton policy. And the state law of regulations does, in my view, does allow it. So we'll get to that in a second. So the first question is, you guys open for a discussion to change the policy, to make use of those funds for more than just acquisition?
That's
Yes.
for us to make a recommendation. We
Yes.
can't change
We
it.
can't.
We just recommend this process.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the first question. Otherwise, I just like, we can go on to the next.
Wait a minute, if I say no, we get to leave early?
Kristen has,
No, more than you have to say no.
Kristen
I,
does.
I really do. I actually do have my hand up this time.
Yep.
I would not want to change that because for a few reasons, critical pieces of land might come up. Land is only going to get more and more expensive and more scarce. So if you suddenly give up your acquisition budget, it's never coming back. And with global warming, tree canopy, I think there's never a good time to stop acquiring open space. So I would not want to do that.
Okay, but the consensus was, we're gonna talk about it. And so your input is part of that discussion. So if that's the case, that we wanna talk about it, then there's the pros and cons. Like I said, there's three: policy, ordinance, or do nothing. And we need to talk about that, and I guess part of it is, if you've read the handouts, is that it does say that the state statute is more expansive than the town policy. It does have more words in there that say that can be used for acquisition support and stewardship, and part of that stewardship could be planting trees. So I don't necessarily see these things as independent. And I guess if you argue, I guess if I forgot how to move forward in this, because it's harder to do three answers versus two. So let's spend a little time on policy versus ordinance for a second, because it gets into what I was saying. So
It's currently a policy, right?
it's courtesy of policy, and which is, it says administrative guidance only, simple council approval, flexible but not binding, easier to amend or rescind. So the point of, and even back to what Clifton said, is the town council can easily change a policy. Right? Which is to something we may not like. Okay, so let's kind of have that in our background a little bit. An ordinance, is a lot more, well, it's a tougher hurdle to climb, because you need the processes, you have to have public meetings, you have to follow certain procedures, but it is a lot more permanent and enforceable, and it does provide tighter controls on fund integrity and transparency. So having said that, if we were to do a change, maybe this is the way we'll do it, would the view be that an ordinance would be the preferable channel versus a policy, putting aside the question of doing anything for a second? Any thoughts on that?
Yes, I have a thought. I absolutely would like to see the change, and when you start this, 200,000 is not going to buy us a piece of property, but it could contribute strongly to taking care of the property we have and making it better. I believe we should stick with a policy, because that gives us more flexibility. We don't have to convince people to spend $50,000 on a tree planting or $50,000 on trail maintenance. I think that the hurdles for us to get anything done would be much higher if it were an ordinance.
Which, if it was an ordinance,
Yeah,
okay. So
the ordinance is worse. It makes it harder for us to do anything if it's an
well, it
ordinance.
depends on how you write it.
Well,
Well,
I'm just going by what you have here with
No,
the,
I
the two
understand,
different things.
But in
Yeah.
the handout, there was two versions. One was a policy, one was an ordinance. Both kind of say the same thing.
Hmm.
In other words, it's both providing the authority, or at least the recommendation from the Conservation Commission. Still needs to be voted on by the town council, but town council can't substitute that recommendation for something that they want. And that's, in other words, it says that the town council can only use or authorize that funding for things we recommended. If they want to do something different, they have to come back to us, and then we would then rewrite it if we wanted to, or say, no, we're not going to recommend that, therefore it's a moot point. So it's not one or the other, it's a question of the structure in which it's being implemented. The intent is the same,
Okay,
right? Which is supporting what you just said, gives us the ability to spend money to support stewardship, in priorities that, longer range priorities than what, let's say, the reason I'm saying the Conservation Commission, Parks and Recs has a very tactical
right.
view on things most of the time. They want to spend money on something that they got to fix today. We're taking a longer view about things we want to, we would spend money on invasive species. Whereas Parks and Rec can never get ahead of that, so I'm not gonna do that. All right, I'd rather spend money on, not necessarily bad things.
Right.
Spend money on parking lot, or access, or trail maintenance or something like that. So,
So, all right, provided that either one would give us the flexibility to do what we need it to do with the money, I would go, it doesn't matter to me then. No, I mean, to me, it looks like the ordinance is harder for us. And maybe I just misunderstood it.
To get through the process.
Right.
Right? I mean, it'd be a longer, first of all, either one of these can take a while to get done. An ordinance would take a lot, I would guess it take an ordinance would be 18 months.
Yeah, probably.
We did it in a year. We did an ordinance for the plastics. It took us a year.
Took a year.
Okay.
But I
Where-
mean, since in place, how the
The
difficulty
words
of
are the
us
same.
getting the money.
The words are the same between an ordinance or a policy. The issue is how, if you make it an ordinance, it makes future changes harder. Okay, if you don't like what you bought into now. Not to say you can't change either one.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, which brings up a point that says that the town council could say, I'm gonna change the policy. It says, I'm gonna cut the conservation provision out. But don't bump. You know, so it does, since it says non-binding, so it does create the issue of being overwritten at the whim of whatever the next town, we don't know who the next town council is. We'll find out tomorrow, right, or Wednesday. So,
Okay.
right, other comments?
Well, I supported and I drafted the ordinance, okay, based on my discussion with Larry. The reason I went down the ordinance route was that the old policy it's on page 32 only referenced the one section, the section 7th 131R. Subsequent, since 2004, over the past 20 years here, there's been this section 8-25 and 25B. 25 is all about zoning and open space and different areas of zoning, whereas in 8-25B specifically talks about acquisition and stewardship, and acquisition and protection. And so in reality, before we go really any farther, we ought to be asking for a legal opinion as far as what is preservation, because that's only technically from a state statute perspective, we're hanging our hat on preservation being equal to stewardship. And if that happens, then do you want to put that as a policy, or you want to put that as, but assuming that preservation equals stewardship, okay, which is still, I would say we need the town lawyer to take a look at.
Yep.
If that is true, then we would go forward with, I would be saying going with the ordinance, just because the ordinance talks, it basically puts it in a higher level as far as making it a town regulation relative to how we do business, and consistent with because if you take a look at the 8-25 statute, it really goes into details in regard to the subdivision regulation that we have with the town, and it kind of references that, because that's really the key indications that the planning and zoning regulations that we're tying to. And so if you're going to go back and redo this, well, go to the next level. We already have a policy. Let's really implement the right thing. And that's what I'm saying, go for the gold, because you can always fall back to a policy if you can't get to the ordinance.
Other comments?
I'm just trying to, I looked at it all quickly last night and trying to sift through it all. Haven't had an opportunity to stand back and review it again. But there's a pool of money that the town has set aside with restrictions that goes to acquisition of open space. And we know that the town has dipped into that fund when they bought Thomas Road, when they bought
Wilbur.
in Wilbur,
And-
right? So the town, so even though we have a ordinance or restriction, a restricted fund, it's under the guise of the town, it's town to share that toward open space. And so it could be our initiative, or obviously it could be the town initiatives. To get it, if they see something coming along that we weren't aware of and start the process to see what it would cost, they know that they've got this fund that they could possibly help there. But as we're moving ahead and we're looking at them now, as Tom had said, we've not putting so much emphasis on acquisition as it is now stewardship, and perhaps connecting smaller parcels along the way of higher interest in management of the properties. Okay, sometime that perhaps is going to take some extra money that we may want to spend. And I think I would support from the ordinance standpoint of maybe changing it. So not only does it allow funding to acquire open space, but also give a little bit, it also allows that some of the money can be done with follow-up with stewardship going forward once you've acquired it. So right now, we don't have any, if
We have nothing.
we have nothing. We go out with our a little cup to Parks and Rec, and hopefully they can do some trail maintenance for us if we want to point something out. But and they have to look at their budget and their timing, so forth, with staffing, et cetera. Where if it was an ordinance giving us that capability of taking some of the funds out for that, it could enhance the stewardship. Because we now have a little bit of money that we can put into the pie, whoever's going to do it. So going forward, I would say it'd be nice to hear from the attorney, you know, where are we in this whole process? And then what would be involved in, I'd like the higher level of an ordinance.
Kristen? Your last comment was status quo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel, I feel like depending on, it really depends on the town council, like getting an ordinance through, you know, if you want something to happen, maybe a policy is easier to get through than an ordinance. I just don't, we just don't know what we're dealing with as far as the town council goes. So I'm gonna be agnostic on it.
Have you heard from anyone except Giselle?
Yeah, I can kind of agree with Kristen. I like the ordinance, but I need to see who this council's gonna be before we can pursue something.
We won't even be able to put a letter before we know who that is. So I'm not too worried about that. We're talking about
Yeah.
a year, at least a year process. And then the other thing to consider is which would be, if you go to, oh, I'm sorry, if you go to an ordinance, when you get into public hearing, then you get conservation, you know, the conservation groups to weigh in, right? And I would expect that they would weigh in on the ability to be a little bit more forthcoming with stewardship, not just acquisition, but I don't know. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. Okay, so I think what I heard, and I guess I'll need a motion on this, is to do a draft based upon an ordinance, but ask for legal clarification on the fact that this is in fact consistent with an appropriate, you know, the same as the state statute. Is that?
Well, rather than going at a motion at this time, since we don't really have unanimity here, maybe the thing to do is just send a memo to Mr. Burt saying, hey, we're looking at potentially this area. Can we get a couple hours of the lawyer time that he controls to take a look and give us a definition so we know what we're dealing with relative to stewardship preservation under those under the statutes? Can we be doing?
Because if the lawyer says no.
It's all moot point.
Yeah, if the lawyer says stewardship doesn't fall onto this, then it doesn't really matter.
We may have wanted to do something, but if you can't do it.
And the other thing to play into this too is a lot of the funds that are in there right now were part of subdivisions. And our subdivision requirements are completely different between these that say specifically in the subdivision requirements that this is specifically for, I was just looking it up there to confirm.
Yeah.
It's specifically for open space or require, I can read it to you.
Yeah, that's the other thing is that lawyer can give you whether this can be retroactive or does it.
That's a different question.
Yeah,
because
that's
the
an
only
additional
reason-
question.
The only reason it says that is because that's what the policy says.
Right.
Shall be used for the purpose of preserving open space or acquiring additional land for open space.
Well, it says preserve, right, so the preserving open space.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
If preservation means
was- what does that
stewardship, then
mean? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's really the question.
Yeah.
So I think maybe the lawyer question might be
Yeah, I think that needs
best
to
way to
happen
go
first before
forward.
we spend any more
We don't have
time on
to
it.
I'll structure a letter
A
for
memorandum to the town manager.
the town manager
Sure.
for legal review
Opinion.
and assessment.
Yeah.
Because the preservation question could fall either way.
Yeah,
It could be, but what zoning has, the regs that you just quoted in the zoning is what we have currently.
For
Which
how,
can change.
the subdivision regs?
Yeah,
That's
and the
because
subdivision
they-
regs, that this is where the money goes.
Yeah, right.
And so it's,
But right now, like, so you're talking about a pot right now that looks attractive because there's a lot of money in there, right? But that, you may not be able to handle that. You may not be able to touch that money, maybe going forward. Just, it's something to think about, like of whether or not you can actually touch this money here or not. And the other thing too is I think that, and I get everything you're saying there. I think the other piece too is that a lot of this, so think about this. We talked about, okay, it'd be really great. We could use 50,000 to do an invasive plan. Well, 50,000 is a drop in the bucket of what it's going to be for any parcel to do invasives in there. And it's a one-time thing. And then it disappears. It'd be, a lot of what, and again, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate to look both sides from, because obviously we've talked about this. I've seen stuff back and forth. Is that to continue to push for increased budget for Parks and Rec, and maybe it is specific for if you want to do invasive work or something like that. But again, this is a small bucket of money right now, right? Relatively speaking, it's better for match, really, when it comes down to if there are grants out there. And you're right, if it's a massive cost, then it's either going to have to be a referendum, or it's going to be a grant, or it's something like that, but it serves the purpose of being that match, that good faith match going forward, that the town is putting this money that we set aside through projects, through subdivision, through whatever, to put towards this property. And most of the time that goes a long way in terms of state match.
Yeah, but having the option doesn't keep us from keeping it for acquisition. It just gives us the option.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying, if you change that, and if all of a sudden you say stewardship, there's gonna be.
But we're not saying that.
But I'm saying, so use the example of invasive species and doing a plan like that, or tree planting or something like that. You're chipping away at that kitty there, and that's what I'm saying.
That's a different discussion, though. We wait, once we have the option, then we look at what do we want to do with, do we want to do anything? But right now, we can't even have the discussion because there's no option.
I get it, but I'm just saying that is right now, if that becomes that, and I understand it's just a discussion of which way to go and what things mean. I'm just saying that you're taking away that potential match for an attractive piece of property out there that, and there are some, that would go a long way in terms of getting a deep grant or something like that in the match for it. That's all I'm saying, is that if it goes that direction, chipping away with little pieces is going to make that fund disappear. We've been very lucky over the last couple of years, and we've gotten a couple big projects that have cut big subdivisions that have really basically bumped that up. And that's also basically why you guys really haven't pushed for the 25K on an annual basis, because we do have a decent chunk in there. All I'm just saying, I'm saying, and Michelle,
Right,
completely
I'm not arguing that
Yeah.
point. However, two things. One is the town could chip away at it anyway without even asking our permission. And two,
not for anything under 10,000,
we could.
not for anything over 10,000. You
But-
can't touch it.
And we can start asking for the 25,000 a year again.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So
Which I would do.
which
Yeah.
we would do. So I think, not having the option doesn't make any sense because we're not gonna like all of a sudden write a check for everything, like write the whole check down. We're gonna look at what's needed and talk about it. And we may decide that, no, it's more important.
I get
We
it.
could still have that same, what
Yep.
you just said
Yep.
will be an absolutely perfect discussion.
I would say,
for the
we're
future.
willing to put up money to support a grant, Parks and Rec, go for a grant. we'll
Or,
put up-
or we can decide we want X amount.
Yeah,
to-
I agree. I'm,
Yeah.
Doesn't
I'm,
make it-
I know,
make it.
I know it doesn't, but I'm just putting it out there as these ideas or other people are talking about, oh, we could use it for this. Oh, like Parks and Rec doesn't have this. I'm just saying there's a way that money could quickly disappear. That's all I'm saying. I'm just being devil's advocate. That's all. And I get,
Right.
Michelle, I get exactly where you're coming from.
We can decide
Yep.
this amount stays for acquisition. And we never go under that for that reason, because if we want something as whatever, but we can have that discussion once.
All right, that's good because none of that has been discussed up to this point. It's just like you can use it for either. And so that's fine. If it is something like that, I think that's, again, I get it. But I'm just
I guess
being devil's advocate.
Part
That's
of
it.
it is, oh gee, let's let some elected officials who come and go every couple of years with totally different things, it could sometimes give a crap about conservation.
Right.
Some do, some don't. Versus our job is Conservation Commission
I
for the
agree.
town.
I agree. I'm
I
not
would think
disagreeing.
we have a better handle on what it is,
Hmm.
working closely with Parks and Rec than town council does, who's got many, many other things to worry about. This is like I take it off their plate, give them less to worry about, actually.
Maybe.
Hey, I'm being devil's advocate.
I know, I get it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, you are. Yes.
okay.
I would just
so-
recommend,
so-
I would just recommend in your memorandum, you take a look at a definition for what the state statute says, as well as a look back relative, is the $200,000 we have today locked in to the current definition of acquisition only, or if we were to open this thing up to preservation, would those funds be available under the new definition?
I will do that. It's information gathering.
Yeah,
Okay. All right, I don't think I need a motion for that.
No,
right?
you
No, no, no.
So,
good job, Larry.
I would take care of that. Oh, that was so much fun. I thought that would be that fun.
Something's happening.
What's that?
Something's happening to your audio.
Yeah, he hasn't been sitting very close to the mic.
We get closer, is that better?
Not much.
Uh-oh. That was only 6.2.
Oh, God.
Well, that was technically that's 3. I'm assuming there's been no updates to the inventory.
No inventory.
Yeah, so I put this is all under planning.
Okay, Groton 2035, 6.4. Let's see, the summaries are out there in Greater Groton. I printed them out. There's like,
There's 6 chapters plus 1 intro.
and there's only, chapter 2 is the one that mainly works on conservation. There's a few things in other chapters. So what I would ask you to do is to come with comments, and we will go through this to create our feedback to the P and Z as a result of our December meeting. So we have a month to, now I did ask that they're not gonna update this in the next month before I said that.
Mhm.
So what I was told was, we're not.
No, everything we were waiting for, and it's if it does, it's minor stuff. What we're doing, and this is where it gets tough with so many different, versions.
Yep.
So the most up-to-date version, if there's changes to any of those, I think 1, 3, 2, 4. I think the only ones that could potentially, I probably not in the month's time, you're gonna have any updates.
So the ones that are on the ground, on the,
On that link that I sent you in the top right, all 5 chapters plus the intro are all up
So
there.
Okay.
look what I did, I printed them out and I went through it and I started to line item it, and so we'll kind of go through it page by page. I don't think it'll be that hard. It is high level stuff. And so for the most part, that kind of was my comment. is, how much of this is really truly actionable, but we can have that discussion in next month. Okay? So. We're getting the trees now, don't worry.
Still have a ways to go.
Fine. I'll get outside.
It's a long way to go before trees. You're on 4. Please try, Larry.
We're on 6.5, which is budget support. The current budget schedule again, how's that?
We said, we had that in the, we said that we're gonna revisit this in January, I think it was.
So that's January. Now, obviously, we just had a discussion about the 25K.
Yep.
Going after that, we had the discussion of supporting a Parks and Rec increase. You know, so there's a number of topics there that we should think about when we do that in January. Vacant land review. Let me take a wild guess. Nothing has happened.
Nothing's happening. Oh, excuse me. Back to, so I don't want to jump ahead. Budget support, including budget discussion, supporting additional budgets will be placed on the December agenda. So are we overwhelming December? That's what I did, but I forgot. That's something. Let me look back in the minutes.
December's getting pretty full.
Yeah, because we weren't planning initially on Jeff Church coming there.
Right.
So we were going to discuss POCD and the budget. So Mike, I'll throw it back at you.
And Con College projects.
And Con College projects, yeah. And it's a holiday.
The budget schedule
Yep.
is.
You probably won't see anything till January anyways.
Yeah, well, that's why I was asking.
Yeah,
So, okay, let's push it to January.
January, okay. That's why I just wanted, I had to look back to remember what we said.
Well, should we be sent to, maybe a compromise here is, should Larry be sending a memo to the town manager asking what his intention is relative to the CIP and the 25K? Because 2 years ago, we had a meeting with him. And it's been 2 years now, and do we want to reaffirm what his intentions are? Because I think his intentions, if I had to guess, I'd say he's gonna zero it, but.
Well, no, I think we should state our intentions. We want to reinstate the 25K. It's there. And we're just saying we would like to see it in the budget. Why not?
Then we should probably say that. But now is the time to send that to, I
Right.
mean, as a memorandum to him.
It fits in with the same memo.
Add it to the same memo?
Yeah.
That's fine too. That's,
Yeah. Why
get a
not?
lot of stuff in there.
No, only 2 things,
3 things.
3 things. Well, no, one's a derivative of the first thing, so really only two separate things.
Say, Larry, you want to stop sharing your screen so we're not
Oh,
seeing some of this too tall?
It's good, you're seeing it through the.
And it's like flashing.
I don't know, for some reason it's flashing, I don't know.
it wasn't flashing on my screen.
Well, it's flashing on.
Crazy. What's that?
Ah.
Okay, so my comment was correct on vacant land?
Yes, there's no updates.
Okay, so we will be talking about the Con College projects next month. My plan is to pull up last year's list, make adjustments, and add anything anybody has. Please, if you have ideas, give them to me in that paragraph form before December, if possible. I will talk to Tabitha about any ideas that she might have. My thought this year is to actually put our projects in our priority order. And so we can, in December, once we see what all the projects are, decide, and I'll, when I talk about the open space stewardship, I'll explain why I thought about the priorities. So that's the idea. So, you know, if there's any tree things that the students might do, or Kristen, we obviously, I will plan on putting Earth Day on there and have that the top priority. So you don't have to worry about championing for that. But if you have other ideas, they're certainly welcome. So that's the plan for the Con College projects.
Kristen has her hand up.
Oh, no, I was just gonna, yeah, I was just gonna, concur. Yes, that of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. So that's the idea. And so moving into open space stewardship, why I came up with that idea was because I was talking to a friend of mine about what we're doing with, she and her husband live near the sub base somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where, but they just both finished getting their PE, like they've been working really hard. They're a young couple, got their PEs, and now they have some free time. And so I said, hey, would you, be interested in, walking the property and doing some stewardship stuff? She said, basically just, basically saying, here's what she said, oh, we'd love to have a purpose for taking walks in nature. So I have beta testers for the form we come up with for stewardship walks. So to me, the stewardship, helping Tabitha with the trails, thing for volunteers is my second priority because I have people. Now neither of them are gonna be the lead, but at least having people to beta test the software we come up with would be awesome. And they,
That's safe with Tabitha?
well, it's what she needs.
I'm
I
saying.
haven't talked to her yet. But I'm gonna, when I put a note, when I send her the email later this week about any other projects, I'm gonna let her know that we have potential volunteers to beta test the software in the properties near the subbase, which is where our target properties are, right? Some of them. Anyway, so I'm sure they would go anywhere in Groton, but I'm just saying, I was so excited to have people say they wanted to actually do what we need to have done. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's like, well, now we have to have software for them to test, right? So that has now become my second priority after. So anyway, I think it's very exciting for the whole stewardship concept to finally have a handle on, trying to figure out what to do with volunteers and actually getting some volunteers to do it with. So I'm very excited. Anyway, that's my report.
Right. Outreach, I guess the next thing is gonna be, what, Earth Day planning? Kind of sync to the kind of calendar.
Don't look at me, look at Kristen for Earth
Well,
Day.
I
Wait,
can't-
Larry, can you speak up?
talking into the mic. Green.
So he said the next thing for outreach should be Earth Day planning.
But I think your mic might be, according to this, your mic is muted, but whatever. Yeah, okay.
Oh, no. His mic for his laptop is muted, but his
Okay.
his microphone's in front of him.
Okay, whatever. It's fine.
Is that any better?
Oh, yes, that's so much better. I can actually hear your voice.
Might be a low battery.
Yep.
Okay, I've switched mics.
Oh, good. The
Okay.
one you're using now works.
Yes. Okay, so you just burned one attaboy on your staff work.
What? Oh, because of that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to check that one out.
All right.
Pet issues.
Let's see, outreach. Oh, we're into trees. All right, so there's a number of things. There was a matrix, okay, last meeting, we agreed as a commission that we're going to move forward and execute the tree plan, since that was approved by the town council, to support it as best we can, since any of the recommendations for a separate tree commission would take an act of the new town council, and that's probably not going to be a top priority on the calendar, I don't think. So I think we've got a number of times, probably a year. And so therefore we should begin execution on the actions that are in here. So what was handed out was, and I guess there's 4 inputs from myself, Giselle, and
No, just 3.
oh, just 3.
I added-
Oh, and Tom.
Oh, okay. But did it get, you have Tom's?
Oh,
Yeah, I provided his.
Okay.
It was in there, yeah.
It was a
I
more,
took
it was
him-
earlier thing. and
Oh,
it's
okay.
incorporated.
Oh, I see. Both of you guys are in here.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
I added Ann's because she sent it to me, and that's why I
Right.
say I upload. I
Got
figured it
it.
was easier.
Yep.
So
So, and yes, I noticed that, and you need to send me that level, because I don't have.
That one to save, yeah, yep.
Because I want to have a master,
Yep.
well, actually, I want Giselle to have a master list once we get
Oh,
get
I
this
see.
moving. So what I'd like to do today is a couple things. One, agree on the timing, the priorities, which is the Conservation Commission priorities, the timing of that, and then we could talk about assigning certain sections to certain people. We already talked about the subcommittee being the three of us, Giselle and myself. But I wanted to get the full commission to kind of vote on the prioritization. So my thought was, as I went through it, there's actually fairly consistent with a couple of things that are different, is to start with Giselle's recommendation and change it if we think we should. Is that a good place to start? Okay. So, and I think I actually kind of went through that, and there was only, like, I don't know, probably 80, over 80%, I think, that I thought Giselle was the position was fine. So let's start real quick on, let's see if I could read this. Goal 1, update existing tree canopy cover. It was, timing was short, priority was high. Any disagreements? Okay, check. Objective 1.2, create tree canopy goal targets. Man, I need better glasses. It was short to medium and high. Okay. Objective 1.3, it was a medium timing and a medium on the priority. Okay. Maybe I should go the other way. See, anybody disagree with what's there? Objective 1.4, medium long and medium high. So I guess that's
I think for the record, you should keep reading out what it says, not just the
Okay.
number.
objective 1.4, measure how development affects the
Tree canopy
the
cover.
yeah, the plan. Medium long on timing, medium high on priority. Okay. No comments there. Objective 2.1, develop task force subcommittee coverage consultant to undertake review. Short term and high priority.
The only thing about short here is that this anything with the word development and subcommittees and all this type of
Yeah,
stuff, it's gonna take. I would at least put it in the medium category.
I agree. Yeah, it's just not gonna happen short term.
Medium.
Yeah, you got a point.
Okay.
It's nice to hope, but
Yeah, you got a point.
Okay.
There's a lot here.
Yeah.
Objective 2.2, evaluate current public tree permitting requirements in the code, short to medium and high. Okay. 2.3, explore adding new trees and development regulations, medium.
Well, medium to long, depending on who, if you add. You had long, Larry, you said long, right?
No, this was medium timing and medium priority.
I know, but I'm looking at not just Giselle's input, but all three people. And if they don't agree, looking at what the
Oh,
difference
yeah,
is.
I had long, yeah, I know that, but that's right. I was saying, starting with Giselle's, does anyone object to?
Boy, you're not gonna go through this for each person, are you?
No, I'm just saying, you brought it up that I said long.
Right, well, just so I'm
I'm just
suggesting
saying-
that, should we call it medium long? As opposed to just medium, because it could be more of a long-term thing. Is what I was thinking.
I'm looking for the final vote.
Yeah, I'm cool with meeting.
All right, medium, long. Okay. Page 2. Well, it's page 35, depending on where you're looking. Okay, 2.4. Develop outside tree species list for public locations. Medium on timing, medium on priority.
So suitable rather than outside, but that's fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, doing some of this is a different thing than.
Right.
Right. So then we have to talk about how we're gonna actually execute on some of these things. 3.1. Determine overall minimum tree canopy, stocking, and planting goals. This was short to medium and high. Okay. 3.2, promote equitable access for green spaces, medium to long and medium. Okay. So, I read through some of these seem to be exactly conservation stuff versus.
Well, I think that's
tree-specific
sort of
stuff.
how it's gonna get, I mean,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
devil's
yeah.
gonna be in the details
Yeah.
on this stuff, but
That's the
I
next.
agree, you
step.
gotta have, right, I agree, you gotta have an idea
Yeah.
of what your priorities are first, but yeah.
And then we'll come back into, then the next is, okay, I will wait, I do have a step 2 here. What is that, 4.1, identify effectiveness and efficiency of current programs in meeting tree planting goals. I got long and medium.
Yeah.
Okay. 4.2, develop public location map, their plans and maps, long and medium. Okay. You're gonna have to shout out, Kristen, if you have an objective. I'm not looking at the screen.
You're good.
Objective 4.3, develop or refine existing tree planting protocols, medium and medium.
My, no, we're good, but I just wanted to add, I didn't put anything on this goal because I think it's going to align with goal 1 and 2 anyway. That's what I was like, I feel like this is just gonna be like a repetitive goal.
Well, yeah, this is their list they gave us, and then we gotta go through and sort which subset of this list.
Okay,
that-
Yeah, especially when it comes to the implementation, we can then
Right, yeah.
tag.
That's
it.
what I was thinking.
That'll come in
It's
the next step.
I just want to, because the information that we're putting for this classification, I'm gonna feed back to Parks and Rec, because I think it's useful to say, hey, here's our view of things, and here's a subset that we're going to focus on as the Conservation Commission.
Or the tree advisory board.
I'm sorry, it's a tree advisory board responsibility that's they currently have. Okay,
next.
5.1, develop ongoing tree inventory and management tactic, medium and high. Okay. Objective 5.2, define a tree inspection and pruning cycle.
This is the one that I didn't know if we should be, because this is a park and rec lead and we're not either, support or lead on this thing. Should we even be telling them what we think that their priorities?
I don't have any knowledge
So
or.
remember, we're just giving our
expertise.
view
Well,
of
no-
priorities.
Well, but we're overstepping ourselves
Yeah,
by
I
saying,
didn't even- I
I
didn't
would just
even-
leave this blank
Yeah.
on this one.
The expertise to even have an opinion, in my opinion.
Right. If they have the lead and we're not asked for any support, we shouldn't
We're
be
not saying
providing it. We should,
you jumped ahead. We're not defining a tree inspection. We're just saying what importance does.
no, I am saying we don't even need to look at this in any way, shape or form because we're not assigned any responsibility for this. And to make an assumption that this should be a high priority or whatever, that's what you're basically sending back to Parks and Rec.
Well, it was medium.
Well, no, I think it should be blank.
I agree.
Okay, so we have 2 other,
I agree. Also,
that's 3. I guess that's the prevailing vote.
Well, it's only 3 out of 6. So yeah, I would ask for Kristen's opinion.
Kristen?
Kristen, you have an opinion on this one?
Yes, I don't think we have responsibility. We don't have knowledge. We don't know what trees need pruning when, so I don't think we should be in it.
That's a quorum.
That's 4.
Okay. I'll go with majority. 5.3, develop or refine existing tree maintenance specifications protocol for staff contractors and volunteers. It said medium long and medium high.
I'm kind of, I gotta say something about this one. If you're gonna say the same thing about the one before about Parks and Rec
Yeah.
lead, I think that that's a specialty for Parks and Rec.
Look, that's my point. There's a number of these we've already done.
Oh, okay.
that I don't want to touch.
This one especially because, I mean, yeah.
I hear you, which is why I didn't want to, now once you start to make that break, now you got a bunch.
But no, but we're assigned in this one as the tree advisory board, we're assigned as a support element. We should be providing an input. I agree that this is a long-term thing as is outlined here.
So what's the difference between this and 5.2?
5.2, we have not been assigned any responsibilities.
Even support.
We're not a support agency. We're not a lead agency for it. That totally belongs to Parks and Rec. We should be ignoring it as far as assigning any type of prioritization or long-term, that's all. This one we're assigned as the tree advisory board. We're putting our hat on there and said, oh, but we're only a support guy, but this is what we recommend for you.
Okay.
Do you have the expertise to be support on it? That's what like, when you read these here, define a budget for tree maintenance, evaluate staffing resource needs, ensure tree maintenance practitioners are trained.
I would say that as far as from the budgetary perspective, we have been providing that in the past and we're going to continue.
But I take this as define a budget, actually come up with a budget for it, where I don't think that.
Well, as a support agency, the lead has the actual, and that's all we're asked for under this. Under this is we're just a support.
But it doesn't say, right, but it says define a budget.
That's
a little more
the
specific.
the leader for this has the responsibility for
You
defining.
guys can do what you want. Like I said, I see this more as a Parks and Rec
Well,
lead.
Why are you supporting that? Who decides that we're TAB supporting?
That was what's in the final report. Yes, that's on the final plan.
Yeah.
So
So the town council
Recommend that
has
we-
recommended us as a support to it.
I think the reason.
I was gonna get to that as past 2.
Well, I disagree to some degree. If there's any kind of budgetary thing with tree planting, as a tree advisory board, we should be putting at least finding out let Parks and Rec give us what the recommendation are. We can make a comment says, we think you should be going in for more money, or that in this environment, you're not going to get that. We should be commenting on it as a tree advisory board. That's the definition of budgetary inputs.
Well, right
And
now,
our
they were
support.
in 6.1, which is identified benchmark assessment for tree population.
Well, we weren't on 6.1. You just moved us off of it. But that's okay.
No, we did.
No, Tom was still talking about 5.3.
It has nothing to do with budget.
Sure it
Yes,
does.
it does. It's
Read the fine print underneath it. Define budget, define budget.
5.3A is define a budget. That's what,
Well, it's one of the.
yeah, and that's what, and that's where our staff member recommended that we try to do something different. And I'm saying, I think we should keep it the way it is. And I think what you had in here is it's long-term, medium, whatever.
Our staff has been overruled.
That doesn't matter. Like, I don't ever have an issue with that. It's just more, I'm just saying the way it's written, it's not like budgetary support. That's my point.
Stick around a little bit longer.
Then I'll come for that one.
We'll come back. 6.1, identify benchmark assessment for tree population. We had long and low.
Yeah.
Advocate ways to plant trees on private property. We had long and low. Sounds like a song. Advocate ways to maintain trees on private property. Long and low.
Wait.
Oh, yep.
Oh, go back to I think advocating for tree planting on private property should not be low priority, should be more of a medium priority, because I think that's That's really important. That's a place, that's a big, big area where impact could be made if people are aware. You know, because we planted those trees, not Sutton Park, but in some little subdivision. We planted trees right next to like a forest. It's like you need trees where there aren't trees. You don't need more trees where there already are trees. You need to add trees. So I think that should be medium, maybe, if you guys don't
Other
disagree.
comments?
I can go with Kristen and support medium.
Very controversial. Sure.
Okay,
No, I hear you.
you got a change to a medium.
Oh, boy.
Okay. 8.1, explore the viability of its tree steward program. Short and high. Okay. Oh my God, how many pages are there? Last page.
Last page.
Objective 9,
8.2.
short and high. Oh, I'm sorry. Recruitment, training, and retention of tree stewards. Review and improve current community tree engagement efforts. We had medium and medium. Objective 9.2, create tree education program to inform residents on tree benefits, inventory statistics, town management of trees, and tree safety. We had medium, medium.
I see long or medium and medium. Which column are you using? Because the other stuff you're using the first.
Well, I told you the one, I'm throwing out the suggestion, looking at all the columns that were there. Because
Then I would say medium long on that one because there's a medium and a long. Right?
no, we haven't been doing it that way, but I understand your point. You think it's medium, long, and medium. Other comments on that?
Medium, medium.
Medium, medium, Giselle? I keep getting a little-
I still stick with medium long.
So you'd like medium, wait a minute, medium long or medium long and then medium or medium then long?
Medium and long, just medium.
No, it's either it's medium long and it's medium or high for the second thing is a. So it's a
Oh,
medium
medium long.
priority, but it's long term. The medium
Medium
slash
priority
long
long
term.
term, yes.
Okay. Uh, 10.1, integrate tree program organization with existing plans for park community areas and other areas of interest. We had short to medium, and then short to medium on timing, medium to high on priority. And the last one, objective 16.
10.
10.
10.2.
Oh, I need to up my power of my lenses.
Or print bigger font.
Print bigger fonts, yes. Medium timing, high priority. All right, that's pass 1. Now that just provides our input on prioritization and timing as advice and counsel from the tree advisory board into Parks and Rec. Pass 2 is going to be those things that we think
We could actually do.
yeah, figuring out things that the Conservation Commission wants to actually do something on. Okay, that's why I was trying to keep
Well,
them separate.
I think wants to and could be two different
Well-
things. So,
You got to have an objective to start,
so yeah.
right? You never know. We have 2 volunteers. Maybe they can
Yeah,
do one. of
maybe.
these things. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to ask Giselle, that's our tree advisory lead, to go through these and suggest which ones should be Conservation Commission.
Okay.
Or the subcommittee could work on it, give her
Things that
some
we
help.
could work on.
Okay. I can definitely do that.
So what, I was just gonna try it.
No?
Yeah.
Okay, I did, let me look at mine.
I would suggest that maybe have the subcommittee because other people have more understanding of what we've done in the past, whereas Giselle doesn't have that background. Just saying.
I guess I'm a little, I'm, as one of the subcommittee members, wanting to get a better understanding of what you're really looking for in this next pass per se.
The next pass there's things that we think we can add value in terms of execution and performance on as the Conservation Commission. Some of these items, as we talked about, we don't have the expertise to do it.
Well, basically make an action item list for us.
Yeah,
Is what you
Yeah,
talk.
subset that.
Make an action
action
item list for us. And then have it, here's the short term, like,
Yeah, but
basically,
yeah,
based on the project stuff we just did.
One is input.
Well, well,
things, I think,
let me talk as from the opposite side here. Is there stuff that we're gonna reject here back to Parks and Rec? Is that what you're basically asking for?
No,
No.
we're not rejecting anything.
Okay,
Is that,
because we've been assigned a lot here
uh,
between the Trees Advisory Board and the Conservation Commission. It was like all but one item. That's coming, when I got to that one item.
the point is, what do we want to actually do something on? I can do something on, I guess there's a couple statements. here.
Well, I would take a look at it from you have two categorizations. One is support and one is that we're assigned as the lead. So as the lead, we're being expected by Parks and Rec to be in charge of these items. So what is that? That's what if you sort this by lead, and you can do that very easily because it's an Excel spreadsheet, okay, by filtering that out. Of those items, how are we going to, prioritize that for 2026 per se, for our short-term things? Which ones do we want to take on of the lead
Yes.
items? Okay. I think that's the way I would, portray this.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's the way of filtering it and
So
Okay.
let me propose, after hearing all this, that the subcommittee go away and, first of all, update this spreadsheet.
Yeah.
First of all, you give me the spreadsheet.
you get with
Ann's,
okay.
Yeah, so that I at least have a record of the history. Then I will get rid of the 4 different things, and just say, here's the Conservation Commission.
Or the Tree
timing
Advisory
and
Board,
priority, right?
yeah, combination.
Well, that's that. Then I will add 2 columns, the 2 columns on, conservation lead or conservation support. And then
Yeah.
as a subcommittee, we'll do a Zoom meeting or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
To go through this and decide that. Meanwhile, I'll put the spreadsheet out first, so that the 3 of us could kind of noodle on it, so we don't sit there and.
So I'm gonna say one thing about this, just because I wanna, this, as part of the report, I read this completely separate. Because part of the recommendation is to have a new tree advisory board. So I know that this is gonna take some time, right? So right now, you guys are assigned to everything, except for that Parks and Rec thing, because there is no tree advisory board, right? So the way I read this, is if and when the tree advisory board, if it goes through, then the tree advisory board, this new or tree commission or whatever they're going to call it, would take over the lead, and then conservation would have the other ones there. They've already said that they'd like to have someone on conservation if this commission comes through and whatnot. But that is how I read this here, because basically this has you guys doing everything. And I do not personally, I know how engaged and active you are as a committee. This is a huge amount of work.
Which is, I don't disagree, which is why we're going through saying.
I get it.
This is all that it's possible to,
Yeah.
now, then the next question is, well, how does one resolve it? And, do you then, let's add additional people to the Conservation Commission to expand our tree advisory board here? Because I still think that they're gonna have a hard time, regardless of what the town council says, to find qualified arborists that
Yep.
they're asking
Yep.
for. I don't think that's gonna happen. So
Understood.
what can we do? And I want to start
Yeah.
off, rather than your opinion, that we're gonna do everything, saying, listen, we understand our own limitations. There's only so much we can do.
I know, and I get that, Larry. I'm just saying that how I read this
Yeah.
was I read this as this new commission or whatever that Parks and Rec would be in charge of if it comes through, is that is how they divide it out. Is that you guys, obviously conservation clearly has a lot, but they don't have everything.
Well, that's kind of what we're starting with.
No, I get it. I just when I looked at it like that, I saw that lens right away, and I saw like, okay, it does make sense. The ones that conservation are on here, those are the high priority ones that I think would rise to the top. You guys may completely disagree, but that's how I read it because of, again, we were involved with the tree management plan to a very small degree, like, and basically this is like a consultant saying, hey, listen, Conservation Commission, you're going to do everything.
Yeah,
And that's the
and we're-
unrealistic part.
And we agree that
Yep.
we can't.
Right.
Now, the other question is, I'm not sure. Well, never mind. We're getting to the,
No, I know.
we're
I get
getting
it.
to reality
Yep.
here. I just want to do a sense of reality and
Yep.
saying, hey, listen, we're willing to sign up to these things and we'll start them right now.
Yep.
Right? These other things, that's gonna take a solution that we don't have right now.
Or expertise or whatever that case.
Expertise
Yep.
or whatever you want to call it.
Yep. That's how I read it based upon reading the plan and reading this. So I just want to throw that out there. So it
So
didn't
you
seem,
agree with us.
I don't, no, I agree that,
That's what I heard.
I agree is like, I think that I would look through this and say, okay, do the ones that say CC support on here as is, are those realistic to take on as a commission? And then knowing that there's not going to be there may or may not ever be a tree advisory board, are these other things something that the commission has the bandwidth to do? And again, I'm just looking at it from bandwidth. I know what you guys can accomplish, and that's how I'm looking
That's
at
what our
it.
next pass is.
Yep.
Is
Okay.
targeted to do.
And I would take some objection to what you're saying here, because when I pull up the page there, page 57, it starts there, where these assignments were done. I take a look at how these things were all parceled out, and there was not anything where there was a tree commission assigned anything here. So this is the default. We have action right now. This thing's been approved by the town council. As of right now, we're assigned this, irrespective of.
I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah.
but
My point.
I'm reading, and I read that as that this is with a new tree commission, because again, this is something that was never, ever expected of you as the tree advisory board to do before.
Don't disagree.
That's all I'm saying.
And one of the solutions is get some budget from the town council that wants this stuff to go hire
Yeah.
some
Well-
arborists. I mean, that is a solution that we can then manage.
Yep.
Right? Another one is ask for volunteers, which I don't think you're gonna get. But, it's,
You might.
there's, once you gotta go through these steps to get there. And so going back and saying, we can do this, we can't do this, or at least we can't do it under the current structure because we have no budget, no funding.
And I get that. And I think part of this is a bigger discussion, like OPDS planning has nothing to do with this whatsoever. We have some stuff in terms of the implementation, in terms of, putting, regulations and stuff like that. But this is where the challenge is with OPDS on one side and Parks and Rec on the other, and where there is this kind of crossover, but we don't have anyone here from Parks and Rec that actually sits as a staff member to discuss their side of things. So I'm talking on behalf of how we read their stuff. It's challenging. That's all I'm saying.
Well, how is since you bring up OPDS, it's one of the items that are listed on page 57 as a separate lead. I don't think you guys lead on anything, but you're listed as support for a number of items.
And a lot of them, I can tell you what they are. They're like basically updating the regulations, making sure we have.
So you guys have looked at this.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so our next action is a subcommittee meeting, and I would ask Giselle, since you're the only one of us that's not retired, that you arrange a time that fits
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
All right, we're a bit more flexible,
A lot more flexible.
a lot more flexible. Okay, well, I don't know about yourself. You commit to a lot of stuff.
I've committed to a lot of stuff in 26. I won't argue that.
Okay.
I've got
Okay,
over.
so-
I've got
so-
about
So you send me the matrix, I'll clean up the matrix, I'll send you the matrix. We'll distribute it to everyone, you
Yeah.
arrange the time, and at our next meeting, which would be good because we'll have the tree steward guy.
Well, I want,
Tree warden.
I want to talk about that too. So
Yeah.
when we get to that, keep going.
Oh. Well, I thought that that would kind of come together and make him part of the discussion while he's here would be interesting.
So on that note, and I had that as I wasn't gonna do it in staff reports, but if we missed it, I wanted to say that to you. So in the past, when we have had speakers come in from other staff member come in, we have given them kind of some things to talk about.
Yes.
So my question to you all is, seeing that Giselle is the one that has been communicating with Jeff and hopefully December will work out. What kind of questions, what kind of things do you want him to answer? And so if it does, if it has something to do with this is perfect. You know what I mean? But like, I think it's important to kind of, and I would expect the same thing when we have Sabit, who's the new sustainable and resilient. So like, what kind of questions, what kind of things do you want to hear from him?
Well, I mean, you should weigh in, but I think we should say. We did do a review and analysis of this plus the lead versus support. He gets that obviously ahead of time. And so his review, observations, comments on that.
Yeah, he is listed, he has a separate column in this, just like
Mhm.
OPDS has, and we have two columns, but.
But I certainly his feedback on what we came up with would be of
Yeah.
value.
Right, and also the other thing from what, as far as what I'm looking for is, where does he stand on his qualifications and certification process?
Now-
Did he finish all that?
Yeah.
Did
And I guess the other thing is his input into the budget process.
And also what's his succession plan is he qualifying somebody
Oh, he
else?
just got it.
Yeah, hold on.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know when he's gonna get promoted, somebody gets run over by a bus, whatever.
It's the run over by a bus. analogy.
All right, so
You got
just
that?
so you have all
Thank you
four,
for
you have all
your
four questions
I have the analysis
for the tree management plan.
for the tree management plan, the standards for qualifications and potentially re-education and
Succession plan.
Succession plan, and then
that's it.
input into the budget process is the fourth one.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to throw that out there because that historically you guys have always done that. You've always had some things to kind of,
I also told him that we would have.
yeah, see. Good,
Questions.
good. So it's all works
Prepare for
out.
him.
See, I'm ahead of you guys.
So
No
I was
problem.
gonna bring it up too.
Good.
Okay, fantastic, thank you.
Anything else?
No, it's no for
You've
my.
been very active at this meeting.
I know I've been trying to. Like I said, like I try to.
It's more than usual.
He doesn't have a soccer game to go to.
Not tonight. No, on Wednesday. Not tonight.
Okay. Any other tree advisory board stuff you'd like to throw on the table?
Real quick, last month I mentioned at the Advocates for Trees that they wanted to generate a letter to CT Deep to get the tree wardens recertified. I asked if we were all okay with it. It looks like we all were. I brought it up at the meeting. They already sent out a letter, which I was like, oh, okay. That was not the impression I got, but they did say that they were happy that we would, also like help out, and they recommend that we generate a letter to send out to CTD. And just saying like we are also
Didn't
in,
what was the last letter you put out there?
I don't care about sending any letters. It's all been discussions. That's all I remember.
Remember doing something.
A letter to Deep.
I don't remember a letter to
Deep, I don't.
Indeed.
Oh, it was a support letter for one of their grants.
That's,
Okay, it was a grant one. not
Yeah.
just-
no,
this
no,
one,
it wasn't anything on trees.
So something could we see the letter they sent? We
that's
say
what I
we
was
support it?
going to ask.
Yeah.
Can I just get that
Yeah,
formatted?
Get that,
Yeah.
edit it out, and either you could send it out as the tree advisory person, or you could send it to me and I'll send it out as chair. But
Okay.
either whatever you vote to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would like to do that. I was surprised when I heard that the CT wardens don't get recertified. That was kind of surprising to me. So I would like to support that. Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay, that would be, now we're on to new business.
Can't add new business now.
Yeah,
Gotta have
okay.
begin.
Report of staff.
I don't have a lot. That was my question there, but we do have, I gotta figure out what the dates are. I don't think any of you guys went. There was how I know you went to the housing presentation, several of you had. There was also
A walk
a
about.
walk, which was actually pretty good in Mystic, looking at the different types of housing that you would never ever expect were amongst our community. And it was a good walk in downtown Mystic. The next one we're going to be doing is in Pequannock Bridge, and that's later this month. You guys will get an email about that.
I was at the ECCT meeting.
Yeah, I know. I know there's a conflict. So something different if you're looking for a walk rather than being stuck inside four walls.
A walk not in the trees in the woods?
Well,
The urban environment.
it is an urban environment.
Urban
Yep,
environment.
yep.
We don't do urban. Oh, I'm sorry. Giselle does it. She does trees and tree canopy.
Yeah, that's a good place to look for tree and tree canopy.
Yep, yep.
So that's upcoming in this month, which is not December. And I apologize for probably stressing you out initially about saying that you needed to review Groton 2035 chapters by Monday, because I thought it was already December. So I'm like, oh, they have to have it done by then. And I was way off, but that happens, right?
You would have just let it go. and
No,
you would-
I admit everything. I don't have a problem with it. I know you wouldn't have said anything, but
I wouldn't have said anything. But now that you have, my comment to him was, oh, you just had a senior moment.
and I said yes.
He said, yes. So welcome to the,
See?
welcome to the,
It's a great.
that's for Giselle. Welcome to the team.
So the deadline for the comments on chapter 2 is when? Is that gonna be before or after our
No,
meeting?
All right, so there, the comments, the truth is you can submit comments up until the public hearing. The public hearing is not till the springtime.
Yeah.
So we'll take them at any point. So next month, once you review them, once you put them together, you can forward them to me, or you can forward them to Deb, or both of us. We'll forward them on to the consultant, and then also forward them on to Planning and Zoning Commission. So that's how, yeah, there's no, at this point, until the public
Yeah,
hearings,
timing wasn't critical.
it was not critical, but obviously
Sooner rather than later.
sooner than later. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we
when
know
did-
that there will be a lot of people that'll make comments at the very end. But the sooner comments can come in, the sooner then they can at least be looked at and potentially addressed.
And then I noticed there's maps that aren't attached and they're.
Yes, so these are the full chapters without they're
Attachments.
without the attachments. So Horsley Wharton is still working on the maps and stuff.
Okay.
But this is more for looking at the language. I know a lot of you were involved with looking at the policies and strategies and whatnot. So look at that, see how it reads. There's a spotlight on resilience that you may want to look at too. Every single chapter has a spotlight on resilience. Make sure there's a lot of stuff on tree stuff in there and Heat Island. So yeah, just look at it, see where there might be holes and whatnot. So, all right, that's what I got.
Move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, see that there was a delay there.
I know there was a delay.
Well, I
Ooh.
wanted to give up.
So without objections, the meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, Kristen. Bye
Bye.
now.
Sorry to get to see you in person.
Okay.
Don't forget to send me any ideas about college projects.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye now.
Have you ever heard of this guy?